Which is safer for an overnight stop, a rest area or a gas station parking lot?
Rest area.
Which is better theft deterrent, brake disc lock or motorcycle cover?
Brake disc lock.
What's a better overnight parking spot, directly outside a hotel room or a well-lit area near the main entrance?
Well-lit area.
Which is the bigger mistake, visual valuables or behaving predictably?
Visual valuables.
Which campsite is better, totally hidden or slightly visible from an active area nearby?
Totally hidden. Jason Gray, currently from VV, Indiana.
You know, for the most part, riding motorcycles around the country and just traveling means that you get to meet interesting people and see interesting things, but every now and then, shady characters are up to no good. Welcome to Moto Adventure Unscripted, a weekly podcast about motorcycles, travel, outdoors, and adventure. I'm your host, Drew Faulkner. Today, my buddy Jason is joining me to talk about some of those shady characters to help you protect your motorcycle and your person from theft or maybe some other things. It is an unlikely thing to happen, but every now and then we just need to keep our head on a swivel. So we unpack the topics of what to look for, what to expect, and how to protect yourself while you're out and about riding a motorcycle. As usual, we want to hear from you, the listeners. Hit us with email, motoadvr@gmail.com. If you're listening here on Spotify, do us a favor, leave a comment. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review. Wherever you're listening, grab your beverage of choice, turn it up, and we hope you enjoy the show. All right, from your experience, sir, what's a very common theft or crime situation that motorcycles walk into without realizing it?
I think probably the most that I've seen is either leaving valuables in saddlebags or just leaving a key in your motorcycle, like at a gas station near a highway or something, or actually having bikes taken out of a trailer at a hotel or a park or something like that.
That makes sense. You think most riders like completely underestimate like how obvious they are to the rest of the world?
I think yes. Most people, not just riders. I think across all spectrums, that's probably a fair statement.
I think if listeners haven't picked up on it already, I want to talk about basically the things that we deal with theft and potential altercations at gas stations, and basically how do you keep your stuff safe and your person safe when you're traveling or just anything regarding your motorcycle. So I want to cover things to consider, how thieves select targets, common mistakes we make, smart security choices, camping and travel tips, recognizing suspicious behavior, and basically how to de-escalate situations or avoid altercations. And we have my buddy Jason on the show here. Jason, if you would, sir, can you tell us about your motorcycle self and then how you became an expert on this particular topic?
Yeah, so my motorcycle self happened at the age of 7. It was roughly 1985, 86. And Christmas morning, I had a Honda XR80 waiting for me in the garage. And that was actually my mom's idea. Her brother had ridden, and my dad had ridden bikes his whole life. My uncle, my dad's brother, had ridden his whole life. So motorcycles were kind of in the family. I got lucky enough to get a bike Christmas morning, and I've been riding ever since. And that's been 41 years.
One of your family members is desperate to get on the podcast by the sound of it. So we should probably introduce how many furry kids that you have in the house right now to the listeners.
So we've got 3. The one that you hear is Hoagie, the little wiener dog.
Yeah. Hoagie is your security system that I have met in person.
She's a great security system.
Yes. Do you need to take care of her by chance?
I will see if Jamie can take her outside or something.
Right,
Give me just a second.
I would say that you've been through quite a few bikes in that time. I met you kind of in the street/adventure space, but well, actually, I should have said motocross space. I forgot that was actually first, motocross space first. So I imagine you've covered a lot of segments.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of everything. I've done a little motocross work. I did that when I was much younger, like teenage years, growing up. There was a brief hiatus where I didn't have a bike, probably from like when I was 17-ish through, I don't know, maybe 26, something like that. You know, graduating high school, you go to college. I moved to LA briefly and then came back and got a real job. So bikes just weren't in the budget or the time with life going on, you know.
You're the one guy who lived in LA who didn't buy a bike as a primary means of whatchamacallit, locomotion and commuting tool, so to speak.
Yeah, I didn't have a place to put it. Like,
yeah.
I lived with 3 other guys in a 2-bedroom apartment, and space was tight.
Yeah, there was no space for the between the pizza boxes and the TV up on cable reels or whatever it happened to be.
Somehow it's like you were there.
You got a couple years on me, but I'm a kid from the '80s. I understand how things were, and as formerly Drew the cable guy, I've seen a lot of bachelor pads in this lifetime. That's for sure.
Yep.
So, how did you get into a space where you suddenly understand how thieves think?
So when I got back from LA, like I said, I needed a job. I was engaged to my first wife at the time, and my brother was a firefighter. So I joined the fire department as a volunteer, and quickly realized that I loved fighting fires, but I hated the EMS side of it. I was an EMT, but just riding in the back of that ambulance and having people throw up on you and try to fight you, and you couldn't really do anything about it, was just not for me. So because I was with the fire department, I worked with a lot of police officers, and we got to be friends with some of them. So they were like, dude, just join the dark side. Come be a cop. I said, all right, we'll see how that works out. And it worked out. So I went to several different police departments in northern Kentucky to put in applications. There were a few hiring. I went to Erlanger Police Department and met a lieutenant there. His name was Lieutenant Rice. And he said, well, we aren't really hiring anybody right now, but there's a program out there called the Police Corps. And what the Police Corps did, it was a federally funded program. It started in the George W. era. The idea behind it was take college-educated people and put them into very rural areas where there may not be college-educated officers. So I said, okay, I qualify for this. I'll look into the police corps. I ended up getting in, and the police corps does things kind of backwards. And I know it's probably more like Ohio when it comes to policing. My understanding is that in Ohio, you put yourself through the academy, and then you hope to get hired on by a department somewhere. Maybe with the exception of like Cincinnati or Columbus, Cleveland, really big departments. So I didn't have to pay to go through the academy. Once I got in, that was all funded by the feds. But it wasn't until maybe 3 weeks before I graduated the academy, and I was there for almost 6 months. It was I'm bad at the math, man. 22 week program.
Yeah.
So with 3 weeks remaining, you kind of got to get your pulse on where you were going to go throughout the state. And I had 2 offers. One was from Covington, and the other was from Fleming Neon. Now, a lot of people don't know where.
Your dancer name, wasn't it? Sounds like a club in Newport, Kentucky. The Fleming Neon.
Yeah, that's funny. I have to use that. We need to make some bumper stickers or something.
Absolutely.
The chief from Fleming Neon called me first, and he was telling me, about what they had to offer, and it wasn't much. Like police salaries back in 2004, that's when this was happening. I mean, they were okay if you had been on for a little while or you worked for a really big city, but Fleming Neon was not that. So when I asked him to tell me a little bit about his department, he said, "Well, I'm the chief, and then there'd be you." And I said, "Well, does that make me the assistant chief?" He said, "I guess that's something we'd have to discuss." And I said, "Okay,
That's
well,
funny.
I appreciate the phone call. I've got another offer from Covington. I'm going to talk to them, and I'll let you know." So I talked to Covington, who, being a Northern Kentucky agency and the largest agency in Northern Kentucky, was much more appealing to me. They had just a lot more opportunity. So I decided to go with Covington and did 21 years and 4 months, I think, with them.
Was it all? Wow. I didn't realize that. And I think to put it in perspective for listeners who aren't familiar with it, right? Like you and I are talking about Kentucky, but this is Greater Cincinnati. I mean, there's 2 million people in Greater Cincinnati, maybe more.
Yeah, when you look at now, I talk about Northern Kentucky being Northern Kentucky because I'm from there. So
Right.
when I talk about Northern Kentucky, I'm talking Boone, Kent, and Campbell counties.
Sure.
Now, other people will go as far down as, I don't know, probably close to Lexington.
Yeah.
But
You and I are talking about Greater Cincinnati on the on the front slope there, right?
for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how many people live in Covington, but I mean, from Newport to Erlanger that's a lot of humans that live in that area.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
I should also point out for the listeners' benefit that Jason has some especially long hair, and I'm not going to lie, I think that beard is somewhat trimmed more so than the last time I remember looking at you and you telling me, "Well, actually, I'm a cop," and I was like, "You're a cop with that getup, so you might have to go in depth about your persona was very different from every cop I have ever met with a crew cut and a fresh shave."
Yeah, you're definitely going to get a ticket from those guys. I did the job a little, maybe differently. So backing up to 2004, that's when I was hired. In Covington, you start off as a patrolman. And if you want to stay a patrolman your entire career, that's awesome. A lot of guys do that. After, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years of being a patrolman and working on night shift, I was just like, I've had enough of this. Let's try something a little different. And the reason I went to Covington is because there were more opportunities where I wasn't just stuck in patrol. If you're a hard worker and you do good quality work, you can advance. So I started dabbling with the idea of joining the bike unit. And I say bike unit like bicycles, not motorcycles. It's a specialized position. We had one of the first, if not the first, bike units in Kentucky, and they still are. I mean, those guys are really kicking ass because it's not a full-time bicycle unit, but they want you out on your bike if you make it to that unit as much as possible because, policing changes. In 2004, we were still doing like community-oriented policing, which is what I like to call hug-a-thug. Like it was like, fishing, catch and release.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess when I started getting into the bike unit several years later, things had changed. They wanted you to be a little bit more aggressive isn't the word, but
I mean, this is probably what I assume is recession era, right? Like crime was changing. We're on the pipeline for, I don't know if it was Oxycontin back then or
so this would have
in that era.
Yeah, this would have been right around the Oxycontin / moving into heroin when heroin made its first big comeback. So I don't know. This is probably around 2008 to 2012-ish.
Yeah.
And that's what they wanted the bike cops to focus on, especially in your downtown Covington.
Yeah.
And I should probably preface, The stuff that I'm going to say, because I'm retired, is not necessarily endorsed by the city of Covington or Covington Police Department. I may change the names to protect the innocent. I'm just, that kind of stuff. So
it's a shame that Riverside doesn't have a thing where I can like blur out your face and we can get the. So I'm a cop from Covington, Ohio.
Yeah, we're gonna have to disguise everything. No, but like that's as a bike cop, that's what they wanted you to do was target the problem areas for residents. So, and at that time, it was a lot of gas station shooting up heroin, a lot of thefts. Man, if there was a house that was abandoned, and there were a lot of them in Covington at the time, and there was copper in it, those copper moles would come up and just snack it. It's absolutely crazy.
Copper mole snacking, man. We're getting all of the vocabulary extended today. That's great.
Yeah, you'll have to tell me. Like a lot of my cop speak has started to go away because I've been retired for about a year.
Yeah,
and I'm not, in that environment anymore, so I'm not hanging out with all those guys. But if I start using a bunch of, I don't know, cop speak, let me know and I will explain.
it's all good if it's relevant to the conversation. So, it sounds to me like you got a lot of time observing people with this new role.
Oh yeah, so I'll keep going. So from making it onto the bike unit, I ended up getting promoted to sergeant. So that put me on third shift again for about a year. Jamie hated that. I hated it. It just didn't work out for our family life because she was working on first shift at the time. And so when the opportunity came for me to go to second shift, I took that. I was there for, I don't know, another 5 or 6 years. And then they wanted me to promote to lieutenant and captain, but I didn't want to take the tests. Once you get up, start doing lieutenant work, you're kind of a desk jockey, and you're not doing you rarely get to go out in the field, and that's not why I wanted to be a cop in the first place. So, the D team, which is Covington's vice unit, had an opening for sergeant, so I applied and interviewed and ended up getting that job. So that's why the long hair, and when you've seen me, sometimes some very long beards. Jamie hates the beard, which is why it's fairly trimmed up. It's getting a lot more gray than what it has been in the past. But
you were like a California hippie when I met you, and I'm like, wait, this guy's a cop? Like, what are you talking about, dude?
Yeah. So the last 5-6 years of my career, I supervised all the undercover guys. It was cool because it was a small unit. I had a guy as a task force officer. I had a guy in the DEA. I had a guy in the FBI.
Wow.
I had a guy in the Northern Kentucky Drug Strike Force, which is a unit made up of undercover officers from all over Northern Kentucky. And then, let's see, what was the other one? The ATF. And then we would sometimes have those guys deputized as marshals.
Wow.
And then they could go chase bad guys or do whatever was needed of them.
Totally not a scripted question, but I think relative, considering all the people and whatnot that you're talking about, how frequently are the criminals in that particular world using motorcycles to conduct business?
I think that's going to depend on where they live.
Mm-hmm.
So there is an Iron Horseman house in Covington, and without getting into a bunch of politics and whatever, the FBI has labeled them as an outlaw motorcycle gang, similar to the Hells Angels or the Warlocks, who are a couple bigger clubs. If people aren't familiar with the Hells Angels, the Iron Horsemen.
And the Outlaws are also a very large motorcycle club in Ohio.
Right.
Yeah.
So with those guys, we dealt with them occasionally. Because they were in Covington, they don't like to shit where they eat. That's bad for their business. Because we know who they are, we know where they are, it doesn't help them out. So they would typically conduct business outside of Covington. We didn't have a whole lot of problems with any of those gangs because they didn't want the problems with us. They were very, very good at keeping things away from where the police were. I think, with the exception of a couple domestic violence calls and maybe some bar fights, as much as we would watch them and watch their house, they just kept to themselves.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything obvious happening as far as like drug deals and weapons and the stuff you see on TV.
Are motorcycles like a common choice for random Joe Blow, or are they more of a currency or an easy item to steal just for either fun or profit?
I think it's probably just an easy item to steal. Now, I would think that if you're going to steal a motorcycle, you would have to have a little bit of knowledge of how it works. So probably somebody who is familiar with a bike, or maybe in that world somehow. But I wouldn't say that your average thief is just going to go try to rip off a bike. That would be hard for him to do. Whereas as opposed to like finding a car door that's unlocked and rummaging through somebody's car because you see a laptop or a purse in the car. I think a lot of these thieves are thieves of opportunity, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I think bikes would be a specifically targeted item. And then it's super easy with Facebook Marketplace, right? Or OfferUp or any of these other places online with apps, especially dirt bikes.
Yep.
So you can snatch a dirt bike in, I don't know, less than 30 seconds and take off, file down a serial number or VIN number, or even change the plastics. How easy is that?
Right.
So, and then just resell it real quick.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and it's kind of segue into where I was headed. Like, I think a lot of this is theft is a matter of opportunity, right? So, from your experience, how do opportunistic thieves usually choose targets?
I'm gonna guess they just are kind of lurking around and kind of waiting. With us in Covington, because there was such close access to the highway. Because if you're not familiar, Covington is right across the river from Cincinnati. So you've got I-71, 75 on one side of the city. Then you've got 275 on the south side of the city that goes all the way around it. And then there are bridges to Cincinnati, Newport, 3 bridges to Cincinnati, 2 bridges, what used to be 2 bridges to Newport. So there's, because Newport is in Campbell County, and so you've got the Licking River that you have to cross to get to Newport from Covington.
Yes, he said Licking River, for those of you that are listening and thought you heard that. We have more Kentucky speak for you on tap, I'm sure.
The Licking, yeah.
100%.
So there is a lot of easy access from gas stations, hotels, and because of Covington's unique geographical positioning, being right across from Cincinnati, there are a lot of hotels there. And so rather than people maybe pay pricey money to go and stay in Cincinnati, they would stay in Covington, save a few bucks, and then commute to Cincinnati or wherever it was they're going. So I think the majority of our thefts in the context of what we're talking about probably would happen from gas stations, hotels, parks, because you've just got people milling around all the time, just waiting to see, is that lady going to leave her keys in her car at the gas station? Or, if she's going to be in there for a while, I'll just casually walk by and look and see if she left a purse. We've had several cases, and this blows my mind, where people would leave their babies in the back seat at a gas station with their car running.
Yeah.
And then a thief would come and take it, not realizing there's a baby in the back. And that drastically changes the nature of the call. So
yeah.
now we have a kidnapping of a baby along with the theft of a car, and they just go across the river to Cincinnati. And guess who doesn't have police powers in Cincinnati? Covington guys. So then we have to try to play nice with Cincinnati, and they're so big, sometimes they didn't play nice with others. But as far as I can remember, in all those situations, everything worked out fine.
So it's a situation where I'm assuming because it's close to the city, that these are people who are quasi-local, right? Like they're really not that far away, and so they could just hang out at a spot and just wait for targets to come through. Is that right?
Yeah, all day long. Like most major metropolitan areas, there are a lot of homeless people. There are a lot of drug addicts. There are a lot of underprivileged people who are down on their luck, and they're just looking for anything they can take to either eat or sell or something to pay the bills and try to make their lives better. So if that means some guy can take a motorcycle where you accidentally left the key in the ignition, or if you have been out all day at the bar and your saddlebags aren't locked or strapped down tight, somebody's going to rummage through that stuff.
So I'm assuming, we're talking about, because this is near the city, that individuals who might steal from you range from professionals to it's just somebody who's turned to this as the only way to make a living.
Yeah. There's not, I don't think there's a label or a specific type of person you can put on this. It could be kids, because kids have grown up in their environment watching their parents steal. I've arrested shoplifters from the age of 12 all the way up to 80. Some people just, that's their way of life. They don't care. So, you might see a couple kids at a gas station hanging out who look like they're innocent, good kids, but maybe not.
That was the segue that I was about to take, actually. It was going to be like, what are some, if you're just traveling and you're riding a bike and you got to stop someplace for gas or take a break or get some food or whatever it is, what are behaviors that you should be looking for?
I would look for, especially if I'm riding by myself, I'm going to look for people, and I use the plural on purpose, because a lot of times it's more than one. They work together, right? So look at people who are looking at your stuff like they want it, and if there's some type of interaction there, maybe a red flag goes up, because in my experience, somebody's going to try to distract you when you get off your bike or you go in the store or whatever while their buddy is rummaging through your stuff or trying to load your bike up or something. And I think that's, wherever you go, if you stay at a hotel, we hear it all the time, right? Even pro racers have their dirt bikes stolen
that made
constantly.
The news recently.
Yeah.
Speaking of Kentucky, although I don't think he was in Kentucky at the time.
No, I don't think he was either. But, whether you're a beginner or you're a pro, and you would think pros would have all the best security measures, especially these sponsored guys, but it doesn't matter. If a thief wants to take your bike, they're going to take your bike. I don't know if you can only mitigate so much, right?
No, that stuff makes sense. Are there particular conversations that should probably set you off guard, that you're inside or you're outside near the bike and then you're on your way in to use the bathroom or whatever it happens to be, that people approach you to help distract you? Is there anything that should immediately send up a red flag?
Probably something like, hey man, like that's a nice bike. How much you pay for it? How old is it? What's the insurance cost? I don't know, kind of like just people wanting too much information from a guy on a bike at a gas station. Like, I mean, like I've ridden into a gas station and typically it's like, hey, sweet bike. Yeah,
Right.
thanks. And that's the end of the conversation. Like, why do you want to know all of this stuff? Now, some people are chatty Cathys, but if it doesn't look right, then it's probably not, or at least be suspicious of it, right? Like, don't have a conversation with somebody walking to the gas station and go, hey, that guy was a really swell fella. No, just keep an eye on your stuff and, look over your shoulder a little bit. If somebody's getting too close, maybe somebody's trying to jack your stuff.
I always think of people ask you where you're going or where you came from. And that's a weird, awkward conversation on a bike because it is, like you said, we've both met Chatty Cathy, especially because everybody has a bike, but I ride a Triumph, and it's weird how that seems to solicit usually older guys at least, but it's still like, yeah, I get a lot of conversations about badges on the tank and blah, blah, blah. So is there anything in particular about that question specifically, where you going or where'd you come from, that we should that should suddenly, turn our radar on?
Well, yeah, especially if you're traveling, because chances are you're not going to know the area very well. You may not have friends and family you can call for help. We can kind of go even down a little bit darker road. If you're a female rider and you've got a male coming up to you asking where you're from, where you're going, that guy might not have good intentions. And we're not talking about stealing bikes at that point, right? So, I think that's a super valid question you have to ask yourself, is like, why does this guy want to know this information?
Yeah, I try to be friendly with folks, and I've had some of the most incredible relationships with, conversations with people that, you just randomly met at a gas station. You hear cool stories, you share a funny exchange, but it is often that I'm like, is this the guy that's trying to figure out where I'm going for bad reasons? Or is this just somebody that's surprised that that I'm 300 miles from home and it's X hour, that kind of thing?
Yeah. And I think you can talk to people and give just generalizations. Like, you don't have to be a dick, right? Like, but I wouldn't tell somebody, oh, I'm going down to the Red River Gorge. I'm coming from Dayton, Ohio. I'm staying at this campground at this specific campsite, and I'll be there in 3 hours. Right? Like, people don't need to know that. You don't tell people that much information. Just be nice and say, hey, thanks. We're going camping. We're from out of town, or whatever, and just leave it at that.
Yeah, it makes sense. To pivot a little bit, what are things that tend to attract thieves with respect to motorcycles, motorcycle luggage, people, any of that stuff?
I don't know if there's anything specifically that would attract a thief unless they were specifically looking for one particular bike, right? Like, having ridden and owned several sports bikes, those are shiny and flashy and sexy, and they get a lot of attention anywhere they go.
Yeah.
So if you're a sports bike guy, that's something to be cognizant of when you're riding. You are going to get attention. If you're a adventure guy, maybe less attention. If you have a whole bunch of luggage on the back of your bike, that's going to be noticeable. So people are going to wonder, hey, I wonder what he's got in there. If you're riding a Honda Goldwing, maybe less sexy of a bike, but very expensive bike, and those things can pack some luggage in. So I think if the thief knows motorcycles and he's into motorcycle culture, he's going to know what it is that you've got. If it's just completely random, just some kid that's hanging out at the gas station and he sees you pull up on your brand new Ninja, he's probably going to want your bike, but is he going to be able to take it? Probably not. You know what I mean? Like it's very situational, I think, when it comes to theft and specific bikes and stuff.
So how do they spot like easy targets on your motorcycle?
I'm going to say it's the easiest way is probably whether you're seem to be situationally aware. You know what I mean? Like in the police department, we always talk about having 360 degrees of awareness, because you could be dealing with somebody and somebody behind you might have bad intentions coming out of the club. I think people in general need to have a lot more situational awareness, but especially motorcycle riders, right? Like you're at a stoplight, you know, as soon as something turns green, somebody's going to run the red light going through. So pay attention to that. It's no different than dealing with traffic stuff when you're on a bike. If you pull into a gas station, just look around, see, you know, what kind of stands out to you, who stands out to you, and why. Did I answer your question?
For the most part, I think of the two. I'm putting the two together, but that doesn't mean they're in together. I thought about this topic by myself about like, okay, like if somebody's going to steal something, what are the key stuff? But as you and I unpack it, together in conversation, it's different. I think of, like you said, shiny, expensive stuff would attract attention. But you made the point that because of the motorcycle culture, motorcycles aren't like cars, right? Everybody knows a Ferrari when they see one. Like you and I, hell, your Repsol Honda. Some people wouldn't even know that's a Honda. They would have no idea what bike that is, right? Because of the graphics that are on it. But I assume people have, luggage and bags and cell phones and all that other stuff attached to their bike somewhere. So it makes me wonder, when you look at your bike, what does a thief see? What are the things that look like they would be easy to steal, or they're going to attract their interest to take a deeper look?
Well, I think one of the things just that kind of sparked in my mind when you said that is when you talk about phones, everybody's got a phone mount, right? Like quad lock, rock form, RAM.
Yeah.
If you go in someplace and you leave your phone unattended, that's an easy snack. Like just somebody will come and snatch it up. Now, is it useful? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But it's something for somebody to just take and try to resell or trade for something else to the next thief down the road.
Yeah, I felt less funny about the phone in this day and age because there's government programs now to get people phones. But I do remember when I first started riding and had a phone mount, it was like, seems a little risky because this is kind of an expensive toy. But I still question myself about that. Like, do I leave my nav phone on my bike? Do I cover it with a glove or something so nobody sees it? I'm not sure what's smart here.
Yeah, that's something that I'm guilty of. Talk about leaving stuff on your bike. Like, I hate carrying my helmet around. I hate it.
Yeah.
Jamie will carry hers all day long. Maybe it's because she's a girl and she's used to carrying a purse or something like that. But I hate it. So, I'll stick the helmet on the handlebar or whatever. I will take my comms unit off because that's expensive. But I don't know if I'm being lazy, or like my climb helmet doesn't have a buckle latch. It's got like a magnetic hook.
Yeah.
So because it doesn't have a buckle latch, there's nothing to secure it to the bike. So I just have to leave it there. I don't know. At this point, I've hit the Kraken a few times with it, so it's probably ready to be replaced anyway.
Most of the listeners are familiar with the rally that shall not be mentioned and should get their Kraken reference by now. That's funny. No, it's even funny that you said that because we now do live in a space that you probably have a $350 communications unit on your phone, And even if you don't have the base mount, the unit that comes off is actually worth way more than a base. Getting a base is easy, and it's
Right.
all worth more than the helmet is at this stage. I mean, yes, some people listening right now have a $500+ shoe berth or shoey or something like that. But I mean, if you're rocking HJC with a comms unit, you could buy two helmets for the price of one of those comms units these days.
Right. Yeah. So, and it's the same way with gear, right? Like, I just throw my gloves in a bag. I take my jacket if I don't want to wear that because it's hot. If I'm wearing a jacket, I'm not Nat Gat guy, but I'm more of a minimalist. But I'll take my jacket and throw it on the bike and just leave it there with the hopes that typically when I do that stuff, I'm with other riders or I'm going to some place where there's going to be a lot of bikes, and I'm hoping that the bike community will kind of look out for each other and not let something like that happen. Sure, it could happen, but yeah, it's just what we do, right?
Yeah, I kind of thought to myself, talking about shiny bikes and whatnot, that if you have a nice bike and it's parked in a place that people can see it, I would assume that it's more likely to be stolen than a bike like mine that I've beat the absolute shit out of at this point. Is there any, like, am I thinking the right way about this, or does that matter at all?
Logically, it makes sense to us, right? But I mean, if you're experiencing hard times and you can take a $500 bike, take a $500 bike, I guess, right? I mean, yeah, I don't know that it makes a difference. Clearly, one bike will be maybe harder to steal or worth more money, but if the rent's due, I think you're probably going to do whatever you have to do as a thief to take it. If that's kind of your job and that's how you make your money.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I want to talk about how riders potentially become targets, and then some real world security, but I think it makes more sense to unpack some other mistakes and whatnot. We kind of touched on it in the beginning. We're kind of talking about things that thieves do. What are mistakes that riders are making that are leaving themselves prone to this type of theft?
Yeah, I think we've talked about it just a little bit, but again, it's, you go to the gas station, you go inside and you leave your key in the ignition. Don't do that. Like, I'm guilty of that. I've done that.
Yeah.
Not on purpose. It's just because I'm in a hurry. Definitely don't leave it running. If you are traveling in your trailer and your bike and you have to sleep at a hotel or a park, do your best to lock that in there. Now, again, I don't think there is a device made on the planet that will stop a thief who wants to take your stuff. Someone will come in there with bolt cutters or a metal grinder or something and take it if they really want it. But at what cost to them being caught, right? If you park in a well-lit area because you're at a hotel, if the hotel has surveillance cameras and that's posted, if the hotel has a security guard, where's the hotel located in regards to access points to the highway, quick snatch and grabs. If I'm traveling and I'm going to stay at a place, that's stuff that I'm going to look for, and other riders should look for when you're hauling a $12,000 dirt bike with you or a $50,000 Road King. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, you just got to, when you plan your trip, plan for where you're going to stay and don't just think of convenience. Sometimes a little inconvenience can save you in the long run, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I do want to circle back to some of that stuff. The first thing I'm thinking of, though, is I day trip a lot, but I'm a good distance from home. It's not like I'm hanging out in the neighborhood, so I have crap packed on the bikes, tools, all kinds of stuff. So you mentioned don't leave keys in the ignition. Is there other silly stuff that we've done with luggage or anything else on the bike or things we need to consider? Obviously, I can imagine, there's advantages to like lockable luggage, but we all don't have that. Is there any other tactics we should think about or mistakes we should avoid?
Yeah, I think it's just figure out a system that works based on what your riding style is and what you're going to do. For example, like, I dabble in photography. So on the back of my adventure bike, I've got a Pelican case, a hard, rigid Pelican case, and 2 soft bags, one on each side. The system that I bought for my Pelican case originally had a latch at the bottom so that it would unlatch. You could take the Pelican case off the bike and take it with you, which, when I was looking at that system, looked great because I've got $10,000 or $12,000 worth of camera equipment in this Pelican case. I don't just want to leave it on the bike. I want to take it with me. The problem that I had was that the latch system, I don't think was engineered quite right, because I'd be going down the highway and at 70 miles an hour, it would fall off. Now, I'm not sponsored by Pelican cases, but that happened twice. And my camera equipment was fine. The case took a little road rash, but like it saved all my gear. So I had to kind of re-engineer it and make it a permanent style with some lock washers and lock bolts and nuts and keep it on there. So if somebody really wanted to take it, they would have to cut off the entire mounting system with a saw, or cut through the Pelican case to take whatever was in there out. Now, on my other bags, those are GV bags, they have a locking system where I can lock them in with a key, unlock it, and then I can pull those off and take them with me. So I think kind of to answer your question, you have to figure out where you're going, what you want to do, how you want to do it, and then get the appropriate gear, luggage system for what you want to do. I don't know, but that's the best I can come up with as far as like how to kind of prepare for a trip and maybe encountering thieves with stuff.
If I'm the kind of guy that's going to run soft luggage for whatever reasons, because I'm not going to get lockable stuff, and I'm sure that's a lot of listeners too. I think most of us would think lockable has advantages. I'm assuming that, we'll call it camouflage for lack of a better term, is still a better deterrent than leaving stuff undone and obvious, anything that can be seen. I was thinking, you're talking about Pelican case. I'm like, in this case, not only do they have to cut it off, but they're cutting it off hoping there's something good in it because they don't actually know what it is, right?
Right. And I think in most cases, whether it's the bike itself or gear, it's just a quick snatch and grab. Is it accessible, and how quickly can they get it? Nobody wants to stand out in the middle of a parking lot under lights for 30 minutes trying to grab your rig off of your bike or out of your trunk or whatever. It's just too much time. They're going to get caught. So if you make it difficult for the thief, there's a good chance the thief won't take your stuff.
I always think of the Army always told us to be a hard target, that, most adversaries are going to choose soft targets, things that are easy. Why would you take on a difficult target when there's an easy one right there? So I'm like, I just need to be marginally more difficult to steal from than somebody else out here today.
Right. Yeah, you have to run faster than your slowest friend, and that's it.
Survive being eaten by the bear. No, that's 100% the case. We talk about mistakes here. I have a laundry list of questions for the listeners' benefit, so I'm kind of like going down my list here. This thing's kind of come out of the woodwork as it goes on. We talked a little bit about predictability earlier. Can you expand on that some? Like, what are habits that people have that tend to make them really predictable to, do-badders, non-do-gooders?
So one of the ones that pops into my head immediately is your route.
Hmm.
So in the police world, unfortunately, in today's climate, there are a lot of people out there who aren't fans of the police. And I was trained to be very cognizant of not just my daily route while I'm at work, driving around, because we're creatures of habit, right?
Hmm.
Like we, for example, I could come out of roll call, get into my cruiser, and then it's, all right, well, it's 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, I'm going to drive around. Maybe I'll see if I can make a traffic stop. And at 3 o'clock, I'm going to grab something to eat because I haven't eaten all day. So I'm going to hit the Wendy's. At 5 o'clock, I know I have to be here for whatever it might be. And if someone wants to do harm to you because you're a police officer, someone's going to track your pattern of movement. And if it's always the same, you're going to be an easy target. It's the same with a bike, right? Like if someone wants your bike, they may follow you from work to your house. They may follow you wherever it is that you're going until they figure out that you're outside of whatever range it is that they want to work in.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, yeah, I mean, you're on a bike anyway. Change it up. Take the long way. Enjoy the ride. Be unpredictable with how you ride and where you're going to go. That way, if someone is watching you or trying to follow you, you're going to throw them off. Or at least hopefully throw them off.
You made me think about, I'm like paranoid about keeping my garage door shut when I'm not in the garage.
Yeah.
It amazes me how I walk through the neighborhood and I see garages open. And like you said, I'll see Harleys here and there. Those are desirable but harder to steal. But yeah, anytime I see a garage door open with dirt bikes, it immediately freaks me out.
Right. I mean, dirt bikes are so easy to steal, right? I mean, they don't have keys. If you like Ken Roxon, you just kickstart it and go on your way. You have to get the old Suzuki out. But like people, I don't know. I guess if you live in a nice area, you know, your HOA does a good job or whatever, and you're friends with all your neighbors, and they're looking out for you. Sure, leave your garage door open, I guess, at least in the day. But
yeah,
you don't have many people watching out for you at night. But still, I'm like you. That makes me nervous.
it always, I'm always freaked out leaving the house, even in the car. When I leave the house, it's like I watch the garage door shut and stay shut before I drive away because I'm like, hey, my passion is in that box, and I need it to be there when I get home.
Right.
And to your point, it makes me think of, like, remember Home Alone, boys and girls? A fictitious story about two complete idiot thieves who literally somehow had all the information about the really wealthy neighborhood. That isn't exactly a made-up story, right? Like, that's really how crime happens.
That was almost a documentary.
I'm sure that you run into that stuff, right? Like, you know, maybe drug trafficking or whatever else it is. It's like, hey, you know, just because it's a nice neighborhood doesn't mean that's not the kind of stuff that's going on there. Or at least there's a customer base or a supply base in that area.
Oh, easily, especially, you know, with marijuana. Now, Ohio marijuana is mostly all the way legal now, right? And
yeah,
Kentucky has the medical stuff happening now. So, you know, today it's not as a big deal as it used to be 10, 15 years ago, but you would have, you know, guys rolling up in a really kind of clapped out Honda Civic into Indian Hill. And you think, why is that guy there? Oh, that's the weed dealer, right? Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing I think of, right? Is you may live in a nice neighborhood, but you never know who's doing business in that neighborhood with someone else, and now you've shared your belongings. Some of you are very passionate belongings with other people because you've left your garage door open, or you've got your Harley parked in the driveway, or whatever else it is. And that's the stuff that I don't want to scare the crap out of people, right? Like, hey, it's probably not going to happen to you, but don't think never.
Oh yeah, we don't want to make people paranoid.
Yeah.
But how well do you really know your neighbors? We would go to several calls or community meetings where you would always hear, man, that guy was a stand-up guy. Like, I can't believe he did that and now he's in jail. Or, our kids went to school together. I can't believe that happened, or he did that, or she did that. You just never really know.
I couldn't imagine, right? If you were actually on site at some of these places and you're, doing some bust at somebody's house, I would imagine the conversations with the neighbors were enlightening, to say the least.
Oh yeah. Now, a lot of people were surprised based on kind of where we were, but then again, a lot of people weren't. Just
they were watching too.
This is how we got the tip.
Yeah, I can see that now. My wife has an expression. She's a character from some movie who I can't remember whatever it is, but Mrs. Kravitz or whatever else it is looking out the window 3 doors down. She knows what's going on over there.
Yep. We loved those people in our neighborhood watch groups. They helped us out quite a bit. And sometimes you just don't have anything better to do, right? There's nothing good on TV. Let's watch the neighbors and see what happens. And then sometimes if you're in Covington, a lot happens.
Yeah, I could definitely see that stuff. I'm going to take a quick second here. Let's pay some bills here real fast. And then we're going to come back into it. So, like I said, we've got more stuff coming on up about real world security stuff you can do, recognizing suspicious people and whatnot. So let's pay some bills. We'll be right back. All right, back to the show here. Of course, I got to read my list. You talked about hotels and stuff. I wanted to get into that, but you actually covered a whole bunch of that stuff. When we're talking about real world security options, you mentioned hard luggage already. I think that's kind of a given. Some of the other features that are out there, and again, I know this isn't exactly your specialty, but do disc locks work? Should people invest in GPS trackers, air tags, like any of that stuff? Is it useful? Have you heard any of your coworkers and whatnot talk about that stuff?
I think air tags could be beneficial. Those are small and easy to hide, right? Your disc locks and chain locks and all of that stuff, that can be a little bit cumbersome, especially, if you're a minimalist, packing all that stuff in and out. And those things can be, if someone's able to like get your bike up on its rear wheel or something, especially when we're talking about like dirt bikes that are light.
Yeah.
That stuff can be cut off or swapped out somehow. If you can hide a good air tag somewhere on your bike, then you're at least going to know a general idea of where it could be or what direction it went. And hopefully you've got insurance on your bike, right? If you've got a plated bike, you should have insurance on your bike. So, at least be able to recoup some of your investment if the worst case scenario happens and somebody's able to take it.
It's funny you said that stuff about disc lock. I think 5, definitely 10 years ago, I feel like that stuff went a long way. You could get a good sized chain and all that other stuff. I really feel like all of the cordless power tools have rendered most of that stuff. It's still effective at being a hard target, but it's like you said, if somebody really wants it, it's less effective than it's ever been, because now you can get a cutoff wheel with a 19-volt battery and just rip through all kinds of steel.
Yeah, we I think it's still happening, but we had a surge, and it was bad, of catalytic converter thefts.
That's where I was headed.
These dudes Like they were sneaky, man. They were slick. Like some of these guys just should have been like parkour athletes,
Mm-hmm.
because they would slide underneath a car real quick, like no dolly, nothing, and with the sawzall in hand, a couple seconds, and they're off with your catalytic converter. These guys are smooth.
Professional thieves.
Yeah, like they've. It's not their first time, right? So I'm with you. And I think bike manufacturers are doing a better job with some anti-theft technology. I can't, get into a bunch of that. That's maybe more of a Mike King question.
Yeah.
But it seems like, I had a 1390 Super Duke that I bought a couple years ago, and that had so much tech on it. Like you would have to sit and study like a manual or go through a 2-hour online class to figure out what everything did. And a part of that was GPS. It's got Bluetooth. It's got
Yeah.
anti-theft, whatever. So I think manufacturers are doing a good job of kind of upping the game with what they can do with like immobilizers. And
I was headed there that you have a bike that is actually known for, we'll say, false positives on the immobilizer, right?
yeah, I've been fortunate enough not to have to deal with that, but it exists.
We need to get a little more Kentucky Creek water into that thing, and we'll test to see how well that works. We're one brown cephalopod away from finding out how good the immobilizer actually is. I'm trying to think what other stuff. So AirTags. I've never played with one, and I've heard mixed reviews on that. Some people have talked about how like AirTags are definitely the way, but sometimes they have to be around other iPhone devices, and there's some other limits. Have you messed with them at all to know more about behavior there with AirTags?
Not in a long-term, long-distance type sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have some at the police department that we would throw into stuff that we would use for like bait.
Oh, okay.
So, we would go through different trends with thefts that are happening, and so we'd set up a bike and see if somebody would steal it or something like that. So we would always put a little tag on that kind of stuff just to see what would happen. But when you're talking about like someone taking a bike 100 miles down the road, I don't have any experience with that. I don't know if that would work or not.
But you do have like real world evidence of actually using AirTags and actually knowing where criminals took stuff. Because you guys had an AirTag with it.
There are a lot of stories of people who put them in cars, and they'll call and say, hey, I know my car's here because I've got a tag in it. Or someone will leave their phone in their car, and someone will take the car, and they'll jump on their iPad or their computer and call us and say, hey, my phone is pinging here. Can you see if our car's there? And sure enough, usually it's pretty accurate within about 100 meters.
That's if it's a bike, especially. At least you've got an idea what houses to scout out and things like that. So yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah, and with like Ring cameras, that's super helpful. I know there's a debate with Ring cameras, like should I give the police access to my Ring camera? Are they going to invade my privacy? Now I can only speak for what we did and the Covington Police Department. That solved tons of crimes.
Wow.
And never once would we have access to your camera without your permission. So if I'm just the general public and I've got a Ring camera and I can say, yes, have the police be able to contact me if something happens in my neighborhood, well, do that. The police aren't going to spy on you.
Yeah,
at least not in Covington.
Yeah,
we've got better things to do.
That's a really good point, though. If you're concerned about security at your house, especially your garage or whatever else it is, there's an entire Ring ecosystem, and there's at least 2 or 3 other major brands that specialize in this now. So you can now get essentially 360 security system around your house that's capturing video on motion and stuff. So I've seen quite a few videos lately where people will show like, hey, this is the truck that showed up and stole my bike, but it was in the dark. But this is the guy in the same truck driving by during the daytime 2 days earlier. And so they can now show people that. That's a great point.
Yeah, and if you're in a subdivision or a neighborhood and everybody has a Ring camera, or at least a few people, I mean, that's just different angles that the police can use to identify people, cars, tags, whatever it might be, to help solve whatever kind of crime has happened.
We talked GPS trackers and locks. I talked about covers earlier. Are there things that give people a false sense of security?
I can't think of anything like major, but then again, like I don't know. I've been doing this for a minute, so I have a different way of thinking, I think. So, I mean, just because it says anti-theft doesn't mean it can't be stolen. Like, don't take the manufacturer's word for anything, because thieves will figure out how to take it. Just try to use common sense and protect your belongings, your bike, lock your stuff, you know?
It makes me think of, I saw a note here, like, like layered senses of security, but the Army was always talking about you have cover and you have concealment, and there's nothing better than cover and concealment. So, because there's nothing better than having a hardened target that is also difficult to see on the front end.
That's right. It was the same in the police. Like, when we pull people over, if worst case scenario happens, they start shooting at you, the door of a Crown Victoria is not a bulletproof piece of metal. And you're bigger than that door is. So get out from behind the door. Like, go behind the car. Make yourself small and put something bigger in front of you. We would train on that stuff a lot. Engine blocks are a great thing to hide behind if that offers itself. But it's. You hit the nail on the head. Yeah,
I think, garage doors, put covers on bikes in the garage. I mean, you don't have to necessarily chain your bikes down, but to me it's the same thing. If you're gonna park in a motel parking lot somewhere, put a cover on your bike and a disc lock, and let them find the disc lock after you've covered it. Or, like, oh, they've uncovered it, now they find a disc lock. Like, you know what? I don't have time for this.
Right, yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I've never had a cover for a bike, so I guess I've never thought about bike covers.
You're peacocking like I am.
Yeah.
Those Repsol graphics are not subtle, not Marquez. I mean Repsol at all. That's funny stuff. I think not necessarily everything for real world stuff, and I'm sure the way things have gone, we'll come up with more of that stuff. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. We talked in the very beginning. There was that question about stopping at gas stations, and I'm all over the place here, so I'm sorry, listeners. I'm habitual about trying to use the gas pump that's the closest to the convenience store. Is that tactic smart, or is it just a false sense of security? I say that for skimming. I'm always worried about somebody stealing my credit card number, and I assume they're much less likely to put one of those on one where the actual attendant can see it, on top of this one, I'm that much closer to the building to walk to and from my bike. Does any of that stuff make sense? Is it logical, at least?
I think when you're talking about the skimmers, 100% makes sense, because you're probably also going to be behind a pump if you're on the other side, right? So the camera can't see you.
Yeah.
But let's face it, how many gas station attendants are like doing their due diligence to make sure that every customer comes through is safe, right?
No.
So from that perspective, I think it makes sense. If we're talking about theft, I don't think it makes a difference. I mean, you're only 3 feet closer to the store from
Yeah.
being on the other pump, unless you're at Buc-ee's, and then, wow.
They just built one in Dayton. I don't want to talk about it. It's ridiculous. But no, I mean, you know how it is. Gas stations are both ways, right? Like we have a lot in Dayton where there's a close pump to them, and then it's literally away. Like they're all stacked in the opposite direction away from the building. Whereas I think of, like you said, a Buc-ee's or a Love Station, they're all in a line away from the building. And so you can kind of see all of them. But for whatever reason, we have a ton of them in Dayton where it's like, no, I'm not going to go to that pump on the far end unless I'm desperate to get gas right now. I'll wait for a spot that's closer to the building because I'm always worried about losing my credit card information to some skimmer. Seems like that's more rare today than it's been, but that could be a false sense of security on my part.
No, I think the manufacturers that create those pumps and scanning devices and whatever have done a better job of making their product tamper-proof. But again, it seems like the thieves are always just kind of either one step behind and they figure it out, or somehow they've got inside information and they're a step ahead and they know the technology before it comes out.
I'm worried about the tap thing because it's become really popular. And man, on a motorcycle, tap is awesome now because you can finally just pull your card out, snap it, and put it back away again rather than
or your
pull it out
phone
of your
if
wallet.
you're using Apple Pay.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I haven't tried that one yet. But that's what I'm worried about tap because it's like if I can wirelessly pay right here, can somebody else swipe my card in the exact same distance and time somewhere else on this pump in a nearby spot?
Yep.
The other thing I was going to ask was when I said gas station or rest area to like use the bathroom in the intro, you said rest area. Is there some thought behind that about why that's a better choice?
I was just speaking personally about that because in my experience, they are typically a little more secluded. Mm-hmm. You probably don't have your theft of opportunity happening there. I say probably. I mean, maybe. Most rest areas are like off the highway, right? So you've just got people coming through. So I would think the chances of someone just hanging out all day at a rest area that they would have to travel to kind of outside of where they live would be maybe smaller. Mm-hmm. So for me, it'd be a rest area.
No, I can buy into the logic, right? Because it does mean that they had to choose that location as their hunting ground for a reason, right? Whereas they might need to be picking up gas that day, or they go to that gas station all the time, or whatever. It's in their circle of influence. Whereas a rest area is kind of a random thing, unless you happen to live one exit down from one. That does happen in the Dayton-Cincinnati corridor, but I don't think of that in Kentucky. The rest areas I think of down that way, I'm like, no, you're kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Right, and that's where I was thinking too.
No, that stuff makes a lot of sense.
You want to talk about guns?
Well, actually, that is a segue that my guess probably makes sense. I'm sure I'll unpack more random stuff as you and I talk here that's a little off script. That's the whole point, right? But at some point, it becomes unsafe for the riders. And I wanted to talk about like things that people need to be on guard for. Again, we talked about it before, but that's like when there's a likelihood that you're either potentially going to be stolen from personally. They're not stealing from your bike and they're not stealing from your bike, but it's very likely that you're going to be pickpocketed or that you may be literally assaulted and something stolen from you or worse. How do you be on guard for those types of things? What do you look for to avoid that situation?
I think I would try to avoid situations where I would be outnumbered, or one-on-one encounters with super shady people. I'm not going to ride to a place and get off at a spot that I don't know when there are just a bunch of people hanging out, or if I'm approached, I see a couple guys coming at me when they shouldn't be. Like that's going to make me want to leave. So I think it kind of comes back to like situational awareness. Like look around and see who's around you, and pay attention to those people. And also know your own limitations, right? Like, you being a military guy and me being in the police for a long time, we've had a little bit of fight training.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe we can handle our own. Certainly not like in a 5-on-1 situation, but 1-on-1 for sure. But, know your own limitations, know what you can do, and do what you feel comfortable with.
When we talk about negative situations starting to unfold, what are some stereotypes? And maybe I have rose-tinted glasses, but it does worry me that when I meet various people who live in certain parts of suburbia, I used to sling cable in the most dangerous neighborhoods in Dayton, right? I lived in Baghdad for 6 months, right? Like, this was life. So right or wrong, I feel slightly more street smart, maybe false sense of security, but are there stereotypes that, folks from rose-tinted glasses suburbia need to keep in mind if they stop in a gas station in some neighborhood in some other state that they're not familiar with, of things that they should probably be, should be like, hey, that's not that it's abnormal, but like, hey, these are sometimes the type of people that mess with you, or do they just come on all shapes and sizes? Sorry, that's a really big question.
No, I think it makes sense. I think if you're in some place you're not accustomed to being, you're not familiar with a different town's culture, just be suspicious. Be naturally suspicious. If you're from south side of Chicago and you're used to that and those are your people, then okay. If I went to the south side of Chicago, I would stick out like a sore thumb. Not only would I be suspicious of them, they would be suspicious of me. And you just kind of got to know where you're going and where you are when you stop for gas or food or whatever, right? I don't know. Does that make sense?
I'm going to make a couple parallels, and
okay,
please check my logic to see if it makes sense. There's no doubt that you can be robbed at a brand new Buc-ee's. That is 100% the case. You may even be potentially assaulted at a brand new Buc-ee's. But I typically find that the best camouflage is places that are neglected. Meaning, like, everybody thinks of a rough neighborhood and crime lives in a rough neighborhood, and that stuff is true. But the military taught me, like, we have to keep everything clean because it's really easy to spot stuff that's out of place. It's a lot easier to hide in an unkept gas station with unkept people and unkept cars and all of those other things. So it's a lot easier to use as a bad person to use that stuff as camouflage. So those are the types of stereotypes that I think of. Like you said, you get off the highway somewhere and you're like, this doesn't appear to be the cleanest neighborhood I've ever been in. Maybe I should go down a couple more exits. Does that pass the smell test?
Oh, 100% it does. Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, my radar always goes up when I stop at some, up here it's a speedway usually, and there's a person who is probably, we'll say, mentally handicapped of some type or whatever else it is. But that is the kind of, like, I'm worried that this person is distracting me from something else that's about to happen. And that kind of thing tends to fit in a lot more in those types of neighborhoods.
I don't want to pick on one particular business, but why is it always a speedway? In Covington, there were 2 speedways right next to each other. Like, right next to each other. I don't know why. And then the weirdest stuff always happened there. So I'm getting a little off track, but I feel like
this is all part of it.
I feel like this story could be worth it.
Yeah.
So there was a homeless fella. I'm not going to mention his name because he's kind of a nice guy.
Yeah.
But he acquired a possum. And since he didn't have anything else to eat, he walked into the speedway and put it in the microwave. And needless to say, the people at Speedway called the police because the possum was making sounds, and there was a smell.
Oh my God.
So we had to evacuate the speedway. It was kind of a nasty biohazard situation that had happened at the microwave and the speedway. So, speedway.
We have listeners all over the country. I'm actually surprised. I mean, actually international for that matter. So we've got quite a few folks from the UK, Australia, and New Zealand that listen.
Awesome.
So I imagine they're going to love this, right? Because lots of people think like, okay, I know a Shell station and I know a BP station. And so I do think that Speedway is a mostly Midwestern, like definitely tri-state, right? Like Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio.
Yeah.
But it is funny because they used to be, when you and I were kids, Super America, and then somehow Speedway, and they had a funny slang thing, some kind of motto that they used to have on them, but I don't know. But yeah, then Super America got all sold out to Speedway, and they were the first to start that big rewards thing. So, and it was ridiculous because I worked for the cable company, so I had all these fuel points that weren't even, I didn't even pay for it, but I had them, right? So you got
Right.
all this free candy and junk, and yeah, I think now, love it or hate it, but Speedway is not seen as a ritzy gas station in a world that is being filled up by Buc-ee's and Sheets and all that stuff.
Right. No, I agree. Speedway is its own culture.
It's speed dogs. I mean, listeners have heard me talk about that, right? Like, I'm, lord of the street food, right? Like, I've never met gas station food I don't like south of the Ohio River, for the most part. There are exceptions. But yeah, like gas station food at Speedway, whatnot, is not necessarily a good choice.
No, it's not Slade, Kentucky chicken fingers, that's for sure.
You'll never guess what I had for lunch on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. Those are good chicken tendies, though.
Grayson, is it great? Well, Counts Crossroads, which is a silly name, but it's one exit down from Grayson. Yeah, and they have killer chicken tenders at that place too. So yes, I love Kentucky gas station food, but Speedway is not a good plan.
I'm just saying, check the microwaves if you go and put your burrito in there. Like, just make sure. Weird things happen.
Yeah, I mean, it is a part of the conversation. It's marginally relative to the topic, but I mean, it is the truth that in today's world, I think of speedways and then marathons for the most part. And marathons now come in two flavors because there are a bunch of whole brand new ones. Like they just built them. They're nice. And then, yeah, there are some marathon stations that have been standing since the 60s almost. Like the bathroom's pretty rough. And that's exactly it. Is you can buy a sausage biscuit this morning and put it in that microwave. Might want to get some soap and towels out of the bathroom first.
Yep. And it's probably still happening in Covington, but if you go there and you go to the bathroom, watch where you put your hands and your feet before you grab anything, because there's a fairly decent chance you're going to get stuck with a needle.
Yeah, that's a fair threat, and none of that was on my script to watch out for. But it does make me think of the gas station situation. As the listeners know, I love riding to places on goat paths that you're intimately familiar with as well, right? Like the more crappy the pavement is, the more I like it. But that does send me to a lot of gas stations where I have to get a key and then walk around the back side of the building. And that particular topic does freak me out in places like that. Or like the bathroom's open during the day, but there's a certain part of the day where they have to lock it for that reason. Yeah, that tells you a few things.
It's like Lampoon's Vacation where they give him the key and it's on a cinder block.
I forgot all about that. I've not seen that in a really long time. I'm trying to remember where I was. I think I was on Kentucky 10, because I do think there's a marathon station. Oh, I can't think of the name of that. Is it Germantown or whatever it is on the east side there? And it's not like it's a bad neighborhood, so to speak, but I'm pretty sure I had to go get half a hockey stick to go use the restroom, and it was outside, which comes with its own aroma and bugs and all the other things that happen there.
It's one step above a porta potty.
I've had some really nice plastic bathrooms in this lifetime, believe it or not. Now, yeah, it was 100 degrees outside, but they were clean that morning.
Yeah, you got to hit them in the morning.
100% there. That is wisdom for a different podcast, though. We've definitely unpacked shady neighborhoods and gas stations. If shady individuals are wishing to do us harm in some way, is there any kind of like body language that we should be looking for?
Yeah. So in the police world, we have an entire script of it. So as far as just nonverbal signals, you're going to look kind of for the head goes down, like you're when you kind of talk about fight or flight. Like if it's flight, typically you'll see someone's head come up because they're going to turn and run. If their head comes down a little bit, they may be standing there for the fight. Watch people's hands, right? Like people's hands are what's going to do you the most harm in most cases, whether it's them reaching for a gun or simply balling up a fist. Watch people's facial expressions. If they clench their jaw, clench their teeth, that's a cue. Think about, for all my non-police friends out there, think about when you or someone you know gets angry, right? Like, what does that look like? And put that into strangers, because humans are all kind of the same when it comes to anger and emotion and non-verbal cues, unless we're talking about like trained professional fighters.
Sure.
All that stuff will start to resonate with you when you start to look for it, and it should send up some red flags. Now, hopefully, you're able to distance yourself or de-escalate that situation somehow. But as far as just on the surface, what to look for, that's what I would start looking for first, is those nonverbal behaviors. And also ask yourself, why?
Mm-hmm. Well, so walk me through that, right? Like we've talked about from the beginning, thieves frequently work in pairs. There's usually someone distracting you and somebody else doing the work. Folks that tend to loiter around, people asking questions that they, seems out of place. And at some point, some of these things may have happened, they may not have. And then I assume at some point someone's decided that not only do they want to steal something from you, they want to steal something off your person. And then those cues that you just mentioned are the next things that we should look out for. Is there anything that we left out in that process?
I don't think so, because it's so situationally specific,
Sure.
right? Like, if someone wants to take your bike and you're on your bike, I mean, chances are they're just going to push you over,
Yeah.
right? Because a bike's natural resting surface is on its side. And how are they going to get you off the bike if that's how they're going to do it? So you kind of just kind of think about, in the police world, we played a game, and we were trying to play like the what if game.
Oh, yeah.
And you probably were in the military or a version of it, right? So every time I went to a call, on my way to the call, I would say to myself, what if this happened? What if this happens? Then what if this happens? How am I going to react? What am I going to do? I always have a plan. Always figure out a way out of a situation, right? If I have an exit plan. So I do the same thing when I'm riding, whether it's in traffic. If this car cuts me off, how am I going to get out? What am I going to do? If I pull into the gas station and there's some shady people there, what am I going to do? Have the plan in place before something bad happens.
Yeah.
So that you can be proactive about it and less reactive about it. As much as you want to control the situation as much as you can, right? Don't let someone else dictate the terms of the situation to you. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. And that was my follow-on question. So my first question, if we got the scenarios relatively painted there, what are the de-escalation tactics that folks need to make? And then that was my follow-on question on there. So we'll do this Tarantino style. What are the de-escalation tactics if someone is looking to remove something from your person, let's say, or you're dealing with a person who, I hate to say the word schizophrenia or anything like that, but there are times where people are a little unhinged and you happen to be the poor person who showed up at that time. What are the de-escalation choices you have available?
So I think we have to have two different categories, right? Like if you're on your bike and if you're off your bike.
Makes sense.
So if you're on your bike and you're able to go, just go. And in any situation, your bike's not worth losing your life over. If you have to let somebody have it, I mean, let them have it.
The Covington Police Department does not condone any words of change.
No, that's also very true. But I will also say that in the state of Kentucky, it's not legal for you to use lethal force to protect property.
Yeah.
So I can't shoot somebody for them trying to steal my bike. Well, I mean, I can, but
there are consequences.
Yes. Now, I can try to fight them physically all day long. If I'm not using lethal force, then, all right, it's me versus them, and the winner's going to win. If you're able to use, and I'm not a big fan of this term, but quote unquote verbal judo, and
that's an interesting one.
That actually came about like years and years ago. Somebody has that trademarked, so I may have just infringed upon that. But
that's not as good as McPossum, but verbal judo is a good one.
Yep. So, now to use your like verbal judo and talk to people, you either have to have the gift of gab, and be able to bullshit with the best of them.
Yeah.
Until you can either buy yourself time to get away or figure out what's going on with this person and maybe make them turn around and go and see that something's not worth their time. It's hard for me to think of like just a strictly bike theft or stuff theft scenario where you would encounter someone and you'd be able to talk them down from whatever. Unless you stand up off your bike and you're 6'8" and 300 pounds.
Jack Reacher gets off the bike.
Right. Like, okay, that guy may be a little intimidating. But for our average guys like me or our female riders, you just sometimes got to take a bite of the shit sandwich and either hit your gas and go and hope for the best, or, man, I don't know, like there's so many different scenarios that could happen out of something like that could go so wrong.
Yeah. This is the dark side, right? Like, and like, I apologize for bringing it up. And I think it is part of that, right? Like I used to hang out in some pretty bad neighborhoods, unfortunately. So again, I was lucky and didn't have to deal with that kind of thing. But at the same time, it was like, I'm not hanging out here. I'm going to get going. But yeah, those people do exist. And like you said, I worry about a lot of the female riders that are here because, listening, some of them are, over the road, ride by themselves type folks and whatnot. So I'm like, yeah, the risks are higher for those individuals for sure. They don't have an Austrian accent where they can say, I need your keys, your clothes, and your motorcycle.
And that chopper.
Anything else about de-escalation?
The only thing I could say is de-escalation is a great tool to have in everyday life. There are classes on it. You can watch YouTube videos on it. In the police world, I would use it generally to calm down very angry people, especially in domestic situations where tensions are like super high. So I come walking into a domestic situation where they don't know me. I'm kind of invading their privacy and their space, coming into a house or apartment or whatever it would be. And violence has either happened or it's about to happen. And a lot of times, at least for a little while, And if you're in Eastern Kentucky all the time, you're there by yourself as a cop. So you want to let cool heads kind of prevail as quickly as possible. And a lot of times that would happen for me by making them talk, right? Like ask them some questions. One that I found a lot worked really well if someone was really getting angry and agitated, not necessarily with me, but I just happened to be there. It was, man, like, why are you yelling at me? Like, what's happening? I'm here to help you. Nobody's in trouble. Just tell me what's going on. Why are you doing this? And then after a couple moments and they can logically think about it, they go, oh yeah, like this guy, he's here. Why am I yelling at him? Like, and a lot of times another one that would work would be like, I would almost whisper to them. If they're yelling at me, I would say, what's happening? Like, why are we doing this now? Who is upsetting you? If you can bring down the tone, that's a really good way to help them bring things down. Because if you just come in to try to match their energy and their volume, it's just going to be a volcano. It's just people are going to yell and yell and yell and yell. And studies have proven that no one listens while they're yelling.
Yeah. It's I mean it's a hard conversation to have to make it make sense in context or lack of context in a podcast, but it is a good thing that I think everybody can benefit from in general, right? Like if you have a girlfriend, spouse, mother-in-law you don't get along with, whatever it happens to be, like, yeah, it's a thing that the internet has kind of taught us that we all just kind of just take a stance. Like everybody just, this is my stance, and you just make statements. And it's weird how disarming questions really are. Like, I love that you said that, because that is the truth. That it's like, hey, I'm just going to ask you a question. And it's almost like it steals energy away from being angry, that if you actually are going to take the time to answer it, it's very difficult to answer the question and be angry.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't know kind of exactly how that would apply, especially if someone that you don't know is just going to try to take your bike by force or something like that. Like if they want it, they're going to try to take it. But if you do happen to run into a maybe mentally unstable person who is maybe hearing things that aren't really there, or seeing stuff that isn't really there, they, in my experience, they are able to understand that, like, I'm talking to them. Mm-hmm. They're just getting feedback from somewhere else, and they have to process through all that and kind of root out the noise before they can figure out what it is that's actually happening right in front of them. So I'm certainly not a psychiatrist or anything like that. I can just tell you from my experience and training, that's kind of what people with mental illnesses sometimes go through, especially when you're talking about schizophrenia or paranoia, that kind of stuff.
And you would know better than I would, and we're trying to paint scenarios that are relevant for motorcyclists and the people listening, but at the same time, it is one of those things that's like, okay, I always think of a gas station because it's a common place we're going to be. You could pick a restaurant or a hotel. To me, it is someone who's probably got some mental challenges of some kind, somebody who's in a really bad spot, either economically or emotionally, and people on mind-altering drugs of one variety or another. Mm-hmm. When I think of like where it may come down to an altercation of some kind. So it's like you as a person are a mistaken identity or wrong place, wrong time. Or they're so mentally altered by something that they're not exactly control their faculties.
The only other one I can think of would be like road rage, right? Like,
that's a good one, actually.
I don't know how it is in other countries with England's culture or Australia or wherever, but here in the United States, that is an issue.
Escalating issue, I think, right now.
Like, I don't know where people's sense of entitlement has come from, like in the last 20 years. Mm. But, when I first started on the job, it it was almost non-existent.
Yeah.
And in the last few years of my career, it was every day, at least a few times a day, we were getting road rage calls that happened on 75.
Yeah.
And they would come down the cut in the hill and then get off right there at 4th Street or 5th Street and just start duking it out in a BP parking lot or pull a gun on somebody.
Yeah.
Or, a lot of times they'd be coming down the hill and somebody would just flash a gun and then go on into Cincinnati and try to do something intimidating. But that's a problem.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because it's relevant in a couple ways. First, I mean, I was headed to work about 2 weeks ago. I'm on a bike and I'm actually stuck behind somebody else, and before I could make a move to get out of there, this dude moved over to the left lane and pulled right out in front of somebody, and somebody just in a big hurry went right around him, got in front of him, locked up the brakes, smoked the whole thing, and I'm like diving, taking the bike like almost straight into the emergency lane. Like, dude, there's about to be a yard sale in front of me.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow they did not make contact. And I was like, all right, I need to give these guys either a lot of space or I need to get out of here quickly. So I was like, wow, it is really escalating over stupid stuff. So no, that's a good point, right? Because somebody could follow you as a motorcyclist to a gas station. And today, everybody's Charger is as fast as most of our motorcycles are. I can't outrun a Charger on my T7. It's not happening.
No. And not on my KTM either.
Yeah.
But I would
5.7
also
is a
say,
deal.
conversely, like as the motorcycle rider, just chill out, man. Like, when you go to take your test, they tell you people aren't going to see you.
Yeah.
So when someone cuts you off, don't get all pissed off. Just, give them space and go about your beautiful motorcycle ride. Everybody just needs to settle down. That's all, at least in America. Just settle down.
Says the retired guy. These old people, graybeards, tell me to chill. No, that's a good point. And it's funny because it's not really totally relevant to the topic, but I'm actually surprised these days both by the level of aggression and many times when that person realizes how bad they cut me off and they see me, like I can see the guilt on their face. Like they feel awful about it. So
you get the guilty sorry wave.
Yeah, like, hey, like we're all better for it. We all made it. So there are definitely days where I'm pissed, but no, I'm getting better about it. Maybe that's me getting old. Maybe that's the gray hair sneaking in here. I want to circle back to something I had written down here. I think for the most part, we've talked about shady areas, but I wanted to ask one last time. Are there any particular high traffic type areas where people should be the most alert that they're a potential target in one way or another, either themselves, their bike, their stuff? You covered kind of a lot of generic stuff on the front end. I think it's probably the answer to this one.
Yeah. Man, from a police perspective, I could go in a bunch of different directions. But
100%.
From a motorcycle perspective, I'm just going to say, if it looks weird, it's probably kind of weird. Maybe just if you don't need gas right away or you don't have to take a piss like right away, just find a different spot. And that's okay, right? Like, I think sometimes, at least with me, maybe because I was a cop for too long or whatever, but like once I dial in my route, I can't divert from the plan, right? Like I get that in my head, like this is the way it's got to be because this is how I planned it out. And so this is where I'm stopping because the map says this is on the way. Well, just relax a little bit, find a different spot that's also on the way or maybe just slightly off the path and use that place, especially if it looks a lot safer and maybe gas is cheaper. I don't know. Maybe they have better tendies.
Don't tease me with the tendies. I'm sensitive to all that stuff. That stuff makes sense. Camping. I was kind of curious if that's a thing. I know it's a little bit more out of your realm. Are there any things relevant to remote travel, like you're maybe you and a friend, or maybe you by yourself, or some place where there are not a lot of places to stop, which does put you in a place where there's less humans most of the time, or specifically just anything associated with camping. I kind of wanted to address at least something in that space. If you had any advice, again, I know we're kind of dealing with city stuff for the most part.
No. So, I mean, until just a couple of months ago, we've had a camper for the last, I think we bought our first one in 2019. So maybe the last 7 years, we've had an RV of some sort that was always a toy hauler so that we could throw bikes in the back of it and go out to the campground, a lot of which we've ridden with you with in eastern Kentucky. So
I'll never forget that bacon rack steak. I'll never, ever forget that.
Yep. I do enjoy cooking meat.
I was going to say, for the listeners' benefit, if Jason is ever cooking and you're within a fork's distance, you're going to need to figure out how to get in line.
Yep. And all are welcome, right?
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
I didn't want to put that out in the world for you, but I had a suspicion that was the case.
No, if people run into us at the campground or at a ride somewhere, come hang out. We'll make you food. But back to the question. So camping. I mean, there are a couple different variables here, right? Like you've got people, evildoers, and then you've got creatures. So,
yeah. Masked bandits with opposable thumbs.
Well, so every year we take a trip to Gatlinburg, right? Because we like to drive. Enjoy riding the dragon and hanging out down there. And bears are a real concern. I saw a bear destroy a man's truck because he had an empty pizza box inside. It totaled this guy's truck.
That's crazy in Gatlinburg of all things. I would expect that at like Yellowstone, but at Gatlinburg, that's wild.
Well, so I've made a few like conservation officer contacts down there. The deal in the Tennessee DNR. I don't know if Tennessee calls it the DNR, but Department of Natural Resources, whatever. You're wildlife officers, right? So the black bears are not an intimidating looking bear. They're not big, but they're bears. They're strong.
Apex predators.
People, because they think that they're cute, will feed them. So bears have learned that where people are, so is food. And bears have an incredible sense of smell, kind of like a dog. So if you don't know, German Shepherds can smell 400 times better than a human. Now, they have 4 times less taste buds, which is why they eat their own shit, but they can smell really, really good. And bears are the same way. So if you have an empty food container or wrapper in your truck in Tennessee, there's a pretty good chance a bear is going to find it and destroy your stuff. So if you're camping somewhere where there's wildlife and you're just camping off your bike and you don't want your bike to be torn up by a wild animal, hang it in a tree somewhere far away from your bike, or park your bike somewhere else.
Yeah, bear canisters and all that stuff.
Yep.
Heavily advised.
But as far as people go, it's not dissimilar from the gas station situation, right? Like, shady people look like shady people. I'm not going to park at a campground next to a guy that looks like he should be in Breaking Bad. And we've run into that, right, in eastern Kentucky, because you'll roll up into campgrounds where people just have a meth trailer parked off in the distance, and why would I camp next to them? That doesn't make any sense. So, because a lot of places, if people don't know, like, it's kind of open camping, and it's like that when you go out west, right? You've got what's the acronym? I can't remember because it doesn't exist where we live.
Bureau of Land Affairs or whatever it is.
Yes, BLM.
There's Bureau of
Land
Indian
Management.
Affairs, and then there's Land Bureau of some kind,
Yeah, so you can, like out west, you can just pull off the road and camp for free on public land wherever you want. And as long as you move your campsite every, I think it's 2 to 3 days, then nobody bothers you. Here, it's not like that because we've got campgrounds and the state just doesn't open land publicly quite like that.
No.
It'd be cool if they did. But, if I'm paying to camp somewhere, typically I've got a campsite or at least an idea of where I should be in a field because they have different fields labeled as different things. So you can kind of know where you're going and where you're going to be before you get there, which goes back to, have a plan before you go out and ride. But it's going to be the same. Like, look for shady people. And I don't want to stereotype too badly, but there's stereotypes for a reason.
We can stereotype cops in this episode before we're done, so it'll
100%.
work out.
Yeah.
I always think of, to me, it's weird questions. There's a million movies about the camping thing, right? Like, you met these people and they sound so great. And then all of a sudden the questions become real weird and out of left field and extremely personal. That's a red flag.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So that stuff makes sense. I think the last thing, more or less moving toward closing out here, is kind of like lessons learned from both riding a motorcycle and being a cop that applies to safety and security. Any kind of notes you want to add in that space?
Oh, man.
I know that's a wide one.
Jeez. Lessons learned from 40 years of riding a bike of some sort.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, but it's related to safety, security stuff on this particular topic about how to. And you definitely should probably include. Don't let us make you paranoid. That is definitely something we didn't really unpack, and we need to.
Oh yeah. A lot of the stuff that we've talked about today has been kind of like worst case scenario, right? Like the chances of any of this happening are slim, and very preventable.
Yeah.
So, don't jump on your bike tomorrow morning, go out for your ride and be like, oh shit, I don't want to ride my bike now. That's not what we're saying. The motorcycle community in general is extremely awesome. Mm-hmm. So, I think just to kind of top everything off that we've talked about, or if I'm going to reiterate anything, it's just going to be like, lock your stuff up if you can lock it, and just don't give thieves the opportunity. If you give them the opportunity, they're going to take it. If they don't have it, then they're going to move on to the next sucker down the road. So don't be the next sucker.
That makes sense. And then any other lessons learned about being a police officer riding a motorcycle?
I would just all the crazy stuff that I've seen involving bikes has all been kind of traffic related and gear related, right? So wear a helmet. I've seen some absolutely horrific motorcycle crashes, and you can YouTube all of that stuff.
Unfortunately, yes.
Gear does work. It does its job. Is it 100% effective all the time? No, nothing is. But it's like wearing your seatbelt in your car. It only takes a few seconds to put on your gear or your helmet. So put it on. Use it. It's there for a reason. Everything that I've seen as far as crashes go, I've seen people, get up and walk away who have been through crazy stuff. Like, I'm talking 100 miles an hour hitting the pavement and sliding down the hill on 75. And they get up and walk away. Now, yeah, a little road rash and some Covington left in you, but you're walking away from what is a MotoGP style crash. And I've seen the opposite where it's brains down the road for a half a mile. So the old adage of it's not when you or if you go down, it's when, that kind of applies. So I would say prepare for that. Know your environment. Know where you're going. Be cognizant of the people around you. We talked about 360 degrees of situational awareness. Know what's going around all the time. When you're on your bike, when you're off your bike. The human body is built with little alert antennas. If you feel like those are going up for some reason, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Maybe, put some distance between you and whatever that reason might be. If it's a person, if it's a place, if it's an animal.
I like that trust your gut comment. We should have said that earlier. It's a good one. Hopefully folks have absorbed some of this stuff, how to be a hard target, how to prevent people from taking stuff, how to identify bad situations and no do-gooders, how to de-escalate some of these things. So if we miss stuff, do us a favor, leave a comment here on Spotify, send me email, moto80vr@gmail.com. Do you want to share your photography channels in case anybody wants to see rad photos of motorcycles?
I kind of shut it down.
Oh, boo.
So I know, but so the problem was, and for those guys that don't know, I used to go around to the Moto America series and do photos for riders. I'm not going to drop a bunch of names or whatever, but it was a great time. I hope to make that a career when I retired. Unfortunately, like a lot of those jobs just don't pay very well.
Yeah.
You're a subcontractor. You're paying for all your travel and everything. The luster kind of went away. So
Yeah.
I enjoy taking photos still of like us when we go out and ride or whatever. Or if someone happens to be in the greater Cincinnati area, they want to look up J&J Photography, then they can contact me that way. But for the most part, yeah.
Fair enough. So any topic you want, any closing comments for the listeners, sir?
Any topic I want.
Hey, man, I'm giving you the last word. You pick it. Well, I'm giving you the second to last word.
No. I think relative to motorcycles in our conversation, no matter what you ride, whether it be a dirt bike, a sport bike, an ADV bike, a bagger, the motorcycle community is awesome. So go out and make friends. At our scramble, you've got all kinds of different walks of life that come in, and people that I wouldn't maybe ordinarily hang out with or strike up a conversation with. I find myself having awesome times with people outside of my circle, so to speak. So, bike people like bikes, talk bikes, be a good person.
With that, we'll catch the listeners down the road.